Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Sodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Sodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jai Haribo. Sri Vakeshvara Pandit. Vakeshvara Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudeva, Shankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 continuous hours. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Srivas Pandit, Vakeshvara Pandit was one of the chief dancers. He danced continually for that length of time. There are many disciples of Vakeshvara Pandit in Orissa, and they are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, although they are Aryas. Among those disciples are Gopala Guru and his disciple Sri Dhanachandra Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakeshvara Pandit danced, and thus Vakeshvara Pandit fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. O Chandramukha, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas. Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. By Vakeshvara's blessings, Devananda Pandit was freed from the Vaishnava aparad committed against Srivas Pandit. Then Sri Chaitanya accepted Devananda Pandit as one of his own devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu commented on this incident. Krishna has made his home in the heart of Vakeshvara Pandit. As Krishna dances in his heart, so Vakeshvara Pandit himself dances. Whatever place Vakeshvara Pandit blesses with his association becomes a holy place of pilgrimage, more sacred than all the holy places. Vakeshvara Pandit faithfully served Lord Chaitanya, both in Navadip and in Jagannath Puri. He established the deities of Sri Sri Radhakanta in Kashi Mishra's house, next to Lord Chaitanya's residence, the Gambhira. So I'm reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 6, Uniting Two Worlds. The chapter's entitled Chant Hare Krishna and Fight. Srila Prabhupada's plans were to move to Bombay. Tamal Krishna Goswami said a lot of senior devotees were gathering in Bombay. They had gone there from Vrindavan and were waiting for Prabhupada. I am therefore going, said Prabhupada. In spite of so much inconveniences, I am going there. You want to stay in Bombay? Asked Tamal Krishna. How long? I don't want to stay anywhere, said Prabhupada. I want to work. I have stayed in big palaces, big cities. I have no other desire but to work. How long do you want to work in Bombay? Asked Tamal Krishna. So long as there is work, said Srila Prabhupada. There is no end of it. Our Bombay should be organized. Work is our life. There is no question of how long as possible. Krishna is giving us good opportunities. Now we should take it seriously. It is not a joke. Hare Krishna movement is bona fide religion. The devotees discussed before Prabhupada the significance of the court decision. They also appreciated the judge and said that he was a senior man in the courts and was considered conservative. Srila Prabhupada said he should be sent a letter of congratulations. May God bless you for such right judgment. Live long life to serve God. Honest and sincere people normally appreciate our movement, said Swarup Damodar. Only those who are serious. Envious, we don't care about, Prabhupada interjected. We don't care, never care about. I didn't care. Many times, even my godbrothers. Neither do I care just now. I'll go on with my work. Why care? We are doing our duty, that's all. Under the higher authoritative order. Have no fear. It is not personal gratification. So arrange for Manipur. We shall go. Sarup Damodar said he would go to Delhi and try to arrange permits for entry, but that it would be hard, since most foreigners were not allowed to enter Manipur. He said that after doing his business, he would come to Bombay and Srila Prabhupada. Now work very strenuously. You are all young men, and somehow or other, to a dead horse you have given life. The last fortnight I was thinking I was dead. I was thinking like that. Now life is finished. I can be finished at any time. That is not amazing. No life, that is not amazing. My life was finished. That is not amazing. No one will lament. Oh, he was old man, 82 years old. But if I can live for some days more, that is wonderful. If I die, that is not wonderful. Krishna is wonderful, said Tamala Krishna Goswami. Krishna is wonderful always, said Prabhupada. And you are wonderful, said Bhavananda Goswami. I am wonderful, said Srila Prabhupada, as long as I serve Krishna. Otherwise, useless, no value. If I can serve Krishna, then I am wonderful, certainly. Srila Prabhupada continued declaring that Krishna was the most wonderful and could do anything. That he was alive and still active, he said, attested to Krishna's being wonderful. If Krishna is not wonderful, he said, is it possible for me to do all these things? Who am I? We don't want to become cheaply wonderful. We want to become really wonderful by serving Krishna. That is our mission. Krishna is wonderful, undoubtedly. Who can become more wonderful than Krishna? Mata Paratmanam Nanyat. Always remember Krishna is wonderful. Don't take Krishna very slightly like one of you. That is foolishness. Krishna is wonderful always. He is the most wonderful person and he can do anything wonderful. Srila Prabhupada continued to make appreciative remarks about the judge's decision. He said, he had feared the case might have taken 14 years, and yet it had not even taken 14 hours. Krishna was so wonderful. March 22nd. The senior devotees in Mayapur felt Srila Prabhupada was too ill to travel and that he should remain there and recuperate. Besides, reports from Bombay were conflicting. Shirabi Swami, knowing that Prabhupada's quarters weren't finished, wanted more time. So he wired Prabhupada, requesting him not to come. But Giriraj and others had been arranging a lecture program for Srila Prabhupada at a pandal in Azad Maidan in Bombay, and Giriraj had written inviting Prabhupada. Prabhupada considered the opportunities for preaching and decided to go. He had his secretary send a telegram from Mayapur to Bombay. Prabhupada arriving Tuesday at 1350. Have rooms ready in whatever condition. But on Prabhupada's arrival in Bombay, he was so weak he could not walk down the steep stairs from the airplane, and airline personnel arranged for him to be lowered to the ground by hydraulic lift. Once he was on the ground, several devotees assisted him in walking. Although he appeared frail, he smiled brightly when he saw the devotees waiting for him at the airport. In the car, Srila Prabhupada inquired about the Bombay temple, and Hari Sari informed him that his quarters were not yet ready, with no toilet, no running water, no doors or windows, and the workmen polishing the floors. Prabhupada dismissed these objections and said he would move in anyway. The devotees who knew the state of the building became extremely anxious. It didn't seem possible that anyone could live there, but Prabhupada said he would. Hari Shori said he was surprised Prabhupada had decided to travel, and Prabhupada replied, "Yes, even up to last night there was no chance of my coming, but still, somehow or other, we are here." Prabhupada was traveling and preaching because that was his life. For more than 30 years, he had been spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, first in India and then in America and throughout the world. As long as Krishna gave him even a little strength, he would continue. He wanted to hold the public lectures in the city, and he wanted to observe the progress of the construction at Hare Krishna Land, his grandest temple. Even though the temple was not completed, he would move in and show the devotees how to use it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, text 13, chapter 1. Tana Shurush Amananam Ahasi Angana Vanutam Yayasvataro Bhutanam
Yasyavataro Bhutanam.
Kasamaya Cha Bhavaya Cha
Shivaya Bhavaya.
Tana Sushrush Amananam
Tanashushamanam.
Tana Shushrush Amananam
Tanashushamanam.
Ahasi Anganu Vanutam
Arasiyaganavartu.
Ahasi Anganu Vanitam
Arasiyaganavartu.
Yasya Vataro Bhutanam
Yasyavataro Bhutanam.
Yasya Vataro Bhutanam
Yasyavataro Bhutanam.
Kashamaya Cha Bhavaya Cha
Shivaya Bhavaya.
Tanashushramamanam
Tanashushramamanam.
Adhasyaganuvardhitam
Yasya Avataro Bhutanam Shemaya Cha Bhavaya Cha
Tanashushrushamanam
Tana Shishurush Mananam
Adhasyaganuvardhitam
Hasi Anguna Vanitam
Yasyavatara Bhutanam
Yasyavatara Bhutanam
Shimaya cha Bhayavacha
Himaya cha Bhavaya cha
Tanna Sushushamanam
Nanam
Ahasi Anga Nivanitum
Yasyavatara Bhutanam
Shemaya cha Bhavaya cha
Shemaya cha Bhavaya cha Tana Shushushutananam Tananam
Yasyavatara Bhutanam
Yasyavatara Bhutanam
Shemaya cha Bhavaya cha
cha Bhavaya cha Tana Shurushnamananam Ahasi Anganavutatam Yasyavatara Bhutanam Shemaya cha Bhavaya cha Tana Shurushmananam Ahasi Anganavanitam Yasyavatara Bhutanam Shemaya cha Bhavaya cha. So I'll do the word for word now. Tat, those. Na, unto us. Shurush Amanam, those who are endeavoring for. Ahasi, ought to do it. Anga, O Sutta Goswami. And Nuvanitam, to explain by following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. Yasya, whose. Avatara, incarnation. Bhutanam, of the living beings. Shemaya, for good. Cha, and. Bhavaya, upliftment. Cha, and. Translation. O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by his previous masters, acharyas, for one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. Purport. The conditions for hearing the transcendental message of the Absolute Truth are set forth herein. The first condition is that the audience must be very sincere and eager to hear, and the speaker must be in the line of disciplic succession from the recognized acharya. The transcendental message of the Absolute is not understandable by those who are materially absorbed. Under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, one becomes gradually purified. Therefore, one must be in the chain of disciplic succession and learn the spiritual art of submissive hearing. In the case of Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya, all these conditions are fulfilled because Srila Sutta Goswami is in the line of Srila Vasudeva, and the sages of Naimisharanya are all sincere souls who are anxious to learn the truth. Thus, the transcendental topics of Lord Sri Krishna's superhuman activities, his incarnation, his birth, appearance or disappearance, his forms, his names, and so on, are all easily understandable because all requirements are fulfilled. Such discourses help all men on the path of spiritual realization. Through the translation once again. O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters, acharyas. one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. Omagana Tirimandas Ya Jana Jana Salakaya Shakshurum Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurudev Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutali Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Prashatya Satarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shiva Sati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hari Hari Hare Ram 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 Hari Hari. So the line of disciplic succession, this is known as parampara. Even parampara praptam, iman raja rasya vidu, sakalenya mahata, yoga nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So the teachings of the acharyas are passed down from guru to disciple and are preserved exactly as they are when presented by the guru to the disciple. So these teachings reach their audience and convey exactly the same meaning as when given by the original teacher. This is important in Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness is a very great and exact science. It is very important to preserve the teachings exactly as they are, not subject to misinterpretation. So disciplic succession can also be known as parampara. The disciplic succession is really very important in Krishna consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, there's a line of disciplic succession which shows that the teachings are coming down originally from Krishna, then they were passed to Lord Brahma, then to Narada Muni, then Sri Vyasadeva, then on and on down through the line until they reached A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He got the parampara through Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. He got his teachings through Gaura Kishora, and Gaura Kishora got his teachings from Bhakti Vinod. So basically, the teachings in the disciplic succession can be regarded as bona fide. So there's another important milestone, or well, not milestone, but there's another important guideline in accepting the teachings, and that's to accept the teachings of sadhu, guru, and shastra. If something falls outside the boundaries of sadhu, guru, and shastra, we won't accept it in Krishna consciousness. It won't be called what's called bona fide. So that a thing has to be sort of qualified by sadhu, guru, and shastra before we'll accept it. There's another important guideline in accepting knowledge and qualifying it as bona fide, and that is that there's 4 defects of the conditioned soul, which means that the conditioned soul will make 4 mistakes. These 4 mistakes are that he's illusioned, he has a cheating propensity, he has imperfect senses, and he makes mistakes. So that knowledge can't be considered bona fide if it's conditioned by these mistakes. Also, the 3 kinds of evidence that we accept in Krishna that we consider in Krishna consciousness. These 3 kinds are pratyasya, anuman, and shabda. Now, pratyasya means direct evidence, what we can deduce with our senses. Therefore, it isn't very good. As I've explained, the conditioned soul will typically have 4 defects of his knowledge. So pratyasya isn't acceptable really. Anuman means inductive knowledge, hypothesis, not perfect because it is a suggestion. Vedic knowledge, however, is Shabda Praman. This means it comes down from the highest authority. The truth is coming from the highest authority. The Vedic evidence should be taken in such a way that there is no argument, that there is meaning, there is no contradiction. Your knowledge is perfect because you are accepting things from the highest source. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hiride sanivasto, mata shmriti janam apunhanam cha, vedascha savaham eva vedam, vedanta krid vide evam chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. This is significant because Shabda Praman refers to evidence from the Vedic statements. Evidence from the Vedas constitutes the ultimate understanding. The Bhagavad Gita shouldn't be taken as ordinary literature, that one can comment on it by so-called ABCD knowledge. That is not possible. Srila Prabhupada comments that not only does a living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord situated locally in his heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. So we have to be careful to preserve the integrity of our knowledge of Krishna. Then we can have a better relationship with Krishna. Tesam ivana kampatham, aham agyana jam tama, nashamai atmabhavasta, jnana dipana bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse 11. The commentary in this verse is that this verse is a very highly placed verse in the Bhagavad Gita, the last of the 4 verses of the Chatur Sloka Gita, the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavad Gita. These verses present the essence of the Bhagavad Gita in 4 slokas. The chapter it's from is called the opulence of the absolute. In this chapter, Krishna presents a few of his splendorous manifestations. You know, there's actually a very big debate in neurology, the science of the study of the brain. And this debate is on what constitutes consciousness. But as far as I'm aware, consciousness is just a byproduct of the presence of the soul within the material body. When Srila Prabhupada was in America, he would go around the big universities and see a school or a department for studying, say, biology, a department for studying psychology, a department for studying, say, linguistics, a department of sociology, but no department for the study of the science of the soul. He said this was a real glaring omission, and it basically points out that how deeply the Western sort of so-called authorities of knowledge are being misled. You see, real ignorance is to deny the supremacy of ignorance. Real ignorance is to deny the supremacy of Krishna. That will place one in illusion. Krishna is eternal, possesses all knowledge of past, present, and future, is the original and supreme philosopher. So that these American university departments, they're basically indications of how far that people have come out of touch with the essence of the Vedic teachings, really. So in Krishna consciousness, basically it's like this. Outside of Krishna consciousness, you can have all these attributes, you can have all these skills, say, in life. You can be like, you can be a fantastic athlete, say, a wonderful cook. You can be even a car mechanic, you can be a dentist, whatever, you can be a doctor. But all these things, these are just zeros. These are just zeros outside of Krishna consciousness. What attributes you have, they just considered to be zeros. But when you take up Krishna consciousness, this places a 1 in front of the zeros. So instead of just having 3 zeros, you have 1,000 qualities. You have 1,000 attributes. This is a great value of Krishna consciousness. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavouring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. These are being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtan, Vishnu, Smarana, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Those words that do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows, and are never resorted to by those situated in transcendental knowledge. The pure and saintly devotees take interest only in topics glorifying the infallible Supreme Lord. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, forms, pastimes, and so on, of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Those 2 verses were from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 12, verses 51 and 52. So I'll try and explain a little bit about the incarnations, because in the verse it says, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. So there are 22 incarnations mentioned in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They are as follows: 1, the 4 Kumaras; 2, Lord Vihara; 3, Deva Rishi Narada; 4, Nara and Narayana Rishis; 5, Lord Kapila; 6, Dattatreya; 7, Yagna; 8, King Rashaba; 9, King Prithu; 10, Lord Matsya; 11, Lord Koma; 12, Danvantari; 13, Mohin Murti; 14, Lord Nrsimhadev; 15, Lord Vamanadev; 16, Brigupati; 17, Sri Vyasadev; 18, Lord Ramachandra; 19, Lord Balaram; 20, Lord Krishna; 21, Lord Buddha; 22, Kalki. There are 6 types of incarnation of Krishna. 1, Purusha avatars, the incarnations of Vishnu: Karan Adakshaya Vishnu, Garbhadakshaya Vishnu, Shirakadashaya Vishnu. 2, Leela avatars, the incarnations meant for the performance of pastimes. 3, Guna avatars, incarnations that control the material qualities, i.e. Brahma for passion, Shiva for ignorance, Vishnu for goodness. 4, Yuga avatars, incarnations for the different ages. In the 4 yugas, Sattva, Treta, Dwapara and Kali, the Lord incarnates in 4 colours, white, red, black and yellow respectively. 5. Manvantara avatars, incarnations of the Manus. 6. Satyavesha avatars, incarnations of empowered living entities. There are 2 kinds of Satyavesha avatars, primary and secondary. The primary are directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are called an incarnation. The secondary are indirectly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are called Vibhuti. Primary incarnations are Lord Shesha, who has the power of personal service in the spiritual world of Vaikuntha, and Lord Ananta, who carries innumerable planets on his head. Also, primary incarnations of the four Kumaras, who have the power of knowledge. Narada Muni, the power of devotional service. Maharaj Prithu, the power to rule the earth, and Parashuram, power to kill rogues and miscreants. Secondary incarnations include Kapila Dev and Rashabadev, among many others. There's actually a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which is very, very widely accepted as foretelling the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya. And this verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, verse 32. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. I'll just try and explain a little bit about plenary expansions of Krishna, because that's a phrase that Prabhupada used very often. And it can be quite puzzling if you don't actually understand what a plenary expansion is. So the analogy of plenary expansions. Krishna is the source of all avatars. There is plenary expansions. For example, this is an example of what you might read. His first plenary expansion is Lord Balaram. Krishna has various plenary expansions, such as Rama and Srila Baladev, such as Rama and Nrsimha. So the way to understand a plenary expansion is that Krishna is the original source of all expansions. It's like a candle, a lit candle. So if you use a candle to light another candle with, that other candle is like the plenary expansion. The original source of all incarnations is Krishna. The source of all incarnations is Krishna. So he's like the original lit candle. So you light another candlestick to take a light from the original candle. That's an analogy that can be used to explain plenary expansions. So the science of Krishna consciousness is very easy to understand. It can be reduced to one simple understanding, that there is a difference between the soul and the material body, and that unfortunately the great mass of people are not situated in this understanding. So it's as easy as understanding the difference between a dead body and a living body. The difference between a dead body and a living body is basically that in the living body, the presence of the soul is there. The living body has the presence of the jiva, the soul, whereas in the dead body, the soul is gone, it's departed. Now, it's very easy. It's a very easy understanding to have, and but like I say, unfortunately, the great mass of people aren't educated in this understanding. perhaps we should talk a little bit about the science of the soul, because this is what I've just been alluding to in that just now. So basically, the living body has the presence of the jiva, the soul inside it, whereas the dead body, the soul's gone. Now, our body, our Krishna's transcendental body is not like ours. His transcendental body is called Satchit Ananda Vigraha, which means it's full of unlimited quantities of bliss, knowledge, and happiness. Whereas our material body, it's limited, temporary, and full of miseries. However, we have the presence of the jiva. Now, the jiva is a little bit like Krishna's transcendental body. It also has these qualities of Satchitananda Vigraha in them, but only in very small quantities. So that it can be said that quantitatively we're like Krishna, but qualitatively we're very different, because Krishna has unlimited quantities of Satchit Ananda Vigraha, whereas we have only a very small amount of Satchit Ananda Vigraha. But also in our bodies, the soul is normally covered by ignorance and the sort of the covering of the material body. But the soul is always living. It's always living. It's never come into creation. Well, sorry, I'm getting a little bit beyond myself now. I'm trying to explain about the science of the soul, and well, I think I've made my point anyway by saying that the science of Krishna consciousness is very easy to understand. It's basically the difference between a living body and a dead body. So in the verse it says, we're eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his carnations. So I've got a little bit of time left before the end of the class. I thought I'd read from Krishna book. These are the prayers of the demigods for Lord Krishna. At the present, the demigods prayed, the Supreme Lord Krishna is appearing just for maintenance of this manifestation. Actually, the Supreme Cause is one, but being deluded by the three modes of material nature, less intelligent persons see that the material world is manifested through different causes. Those who are intelligent can see that the cause is one Krishna. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of all causes. Brahma is the deputed agent for creation. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna for maintenance. And Lord Shiva is the expansion of Krishna for dissolution. Our dear Lord, the demigods prayed, it is very difficult to understand your eternal form of personality. Your eternal form of personality. People in general are unable to understand your actual form. Therefore, you are personally descending to exhibit your original eternal form. Somehow people can understand the different incarnations of your lordship, but they are puzzled to understand the eternal form of Krishna with two hands, moving among human beings exactly like one of them. This eternal form of your lordship is ever increasing in transcendental pleasure for the devotees. But for the non-devotees, this form is very dangerous. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very pleasing to the sadhu. It is said, Paritranya sadhunam. But this form is very dangerous for the demons, because Krishna also descends to kill the demons. It is therefore simultaneously pleasing to the devotees and dangerous to the demons. Our dear lotus-eyed Lord, you are the source of pure goodness. There are many great sages who simply by samadhi or transcendentally meditating upon your lotus feet and thus being absorbed in your thought, have easily transformed the great ocean of nescience created by the material nature to no more than the water in a calf's hoofprint. The purpose of meditation is to focus the mind upon the personality of Godhead, beginning from his lotus feet. Simply by meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages cross over this vast ocean of material existence without difficulty. O self-illuminated one, the great saintly persons who have crossed over the ocean of nescience by the help of the transcendental boat of your lotus feet have not taken away that boat. It is still lying on this side. The demigods are using a nice simile. If one takes a boat to cross over a river, the boat also goes with one to the other side of the river. And so when one reaches the destination, how can the same boat be available to those who are still on the other side? To answer this difficulty, the demigods say in the prayer that the boat is not taken away. The devotees still remaining on the other side are able to pass over the ocean of material nature because the pure devotees do not take the boat with them when they cross over. When one simply approaches the boat, the whole ocean of material nescience is reduced to the size of water in a calf's hoofprint. Therefore, the devotees do not need to take a boat to the other side. They simply cross the ocean immediately. Because the great saintly persons are compassionate toward all conditioned souls, the boat is still lying at the lotus feet of the Lord. One can meditate upon his feet at any time, and by so doing, one can cross over the great ocean of material existence. So there's just a couple of minutes of the class remaining. So if anybody's got any questions or comments, I'll try to answer them, or I'll be open to hearing them.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the class.
Small question, if you could please help understand a bit. So, what would you say, Krishna consciousness is so simple to understand, like the difference between the body and the soul is quite simple enough to understand. Then why, like, millions and millions of people are not able to get their head around this, and especially like scholarly people and all?
Yeah, basically, they haven't come in touch with Krishna consciousness. It's been said that you need the mercy of the pure devotee to come in contact with Krishna consciousness and to understand some of the teachings of Krishna consciousness. So basically, they haven't had the great fortune of even a moment's association with a pure devotee. Is that enough, or?
That's it.
So thank you very much. Thanks for your patience and kindness and tolerance in understanding me and my rambling efforts to sort of deliver a class. So thank you. Thanks.
Bhakta,